You're listening to Hard Truths for a Soft World with Trevor L. Taylor. I'm Trevor, and on this show we talk about how technology, comfort, and modern habits are quietly reshaping our brains, our grit, and our relationships, and what we can actually do about it.
Today is episode 3, and the title is Screens, Games, and the Motivation Trap. This episode is especially for you if you've watched a young person go from bright and curious to checked out and glued to a phone or game controller. Or if you're a teen or young adult who keeps asking yourself, why can't I make myself do the things I know I should do? We're going to dig into how cell phones, social media, and gaming hijack your brain's dopamine system, make real-life goals feel boring, and, most importantly, how to get your focus and drive back. Let me drop you into a familiar scene. It's a school night. You tell yourself, I'll start my homework right after this game. I'll get off my phone after this next video. I'll go to bed after I check just one more thing. You blink, and suddenly it's 2 hours later. Homework still untouched. Your room still a mess. That thing you said you'd start, reading, working out, practicing, didn't happen. And you think, what is wrong with me? Why do I have zero motivation? If that sounds like you, or like someone you love, I want you to hear this. There is nothing broken about you. Your brain is doing exactly what it's been trained to do, but that doesn't mean we leave it there. Here's what we're going to cover today. What I mean by the motivation trap and why it's so common now. Dopamine 101. What this brain chemical really does and how screens and games tap into it. Why normal life starts to feel too boring when your brain lives on high stimulation media. The real world costs for mental health, sleep, school, and goals. Practical strategies for teens and parents to reset the system and rebuild drive. A 7-day motivation reboot challenge you can try at home. This is not an all screens are evil episode. This is about understanding the trade we're making and how to take control back. Let's define our enemy, the motivation trap. Here's my simple definition. The motivation trap is what happens when your brain gets so used to fast, easy, high-intensity rewards from screens that slower, real-life goals start to feel pointless, heavy, or unbearably boring. It looks like this in everyday life. Scrolling or gaming feels irresistible, but starting homework feels impossible. You want to get fit, read more, or start a project, but you can't get past the pull of the phone. Even when you do start something, you keep reaching for your device every few minutes. And it's not just teens. Studies show that screen media can take up the majority of young people's free time after school. And nearly all teens have at least one screen device in their bedroom. Here's the key idea for this whole episode. Motivation isn't just willpower. It's deeply tied to how our brain's reward system, especially dopamine, is being trained day after day. So let's talk about that system. You've probably heard of dopamine as the pleasure chemical. That's not totally wrong, but it's incomplete. A better way to think about dopamine is a motivation messenger. It's about wanting, seeking, and anticipating rewards. When dopamine fires in certain parts of the brain, especially the striatum, it pushes you to take action, makes rewards feel valuable, helps you learn what's worth doing again. Too little dopamine in that system is linked to low drive, apathy, and not caring much about rewards. Too much or dysregulated dopamine can contribute to addictive behaviors, where certain things feel way more important than they actually are. Now, here's where screens come in. Our phones, social media, and games are basically dopamine machines. Notifications,
likes, new videos, winning a match, unlocking a loot box. Each one gives your brain a little hit of reward. And over time, they train your brain to expect that fast, frequent stimulation. Researchers who study smartphone and social media use point out that digital notifications and feedback act like tiny rewards, activating the brain's reward system and reinforcing checking behavior. And still other work points to social media platforms using variable, unpredictable rewards, like not knowing when you'll get a like or which video will be really good, just like a slot machine, which is a very powerful way to keep people engaged. So your phone isn't neutral. It's more like a casino in your pocket. And then there are video games. Video games are built around goals and rewards. You level up, you unlock skins, you defeat a boss, you get dropped into another fast-paced round. Your brain loves this. There's a famous brain imaging study where researchers put people in a scanner, had them play a video game, and looked at what happened in their striatal dopamine system. The binding of a dopamine-related tracer dropped during gameplay, which is what you see when real dopamine is flooding those receptors. In normal person language, playing the game literally triggered dopamine release in the brain's reward center. Other work shows that these reward circuits light up more when you're actively playing compared to just watching someone else play, which helps explain why the controller is so much more magnetic than just spectating. Game designers know how to keep that loop going. Quick feedback, clear goals, frequent wins, just enough challenge to stay exciting. Put that next to reading a chapter, studying for an exam, cleaning your room, practicing an instrument. No leaderboard, no epic victory animation, no ding of achievement. Guess which one your dopamine system prefers. If it's safe to do so, I want you to do a quick rating exercise. Think about starting a boring but important task like homework, a project, or chores. Now rate these statements from 1, not like me, to 5, very much like me. I usually check my phone right before starting, just for a minute. If I can't have music, a show, or my phone nearby, it's really hard to start. I often tell myself I'll begin after just one more game/video/post. If you scored 3 to 5 total, you're probably okay, but be mindful. 6 to 10 total, your brain is getting used to external stimulation in order to begin. 11 to 15 total, you're deep in the motivation trap. Again, this isn't about shame, it's about awareness. Let's talk about boredom. You might assume that with all our entertainment, videos, games, social media, we'd be bored less, but research is finding the opposite. A recent paper in Communications Psychology looked at data from multiple large studies and concluded that boredom among young people has actually risen over the last decade, and digital media use is one likely contributor. Another set of experiments found that people often switch rapidly between videos, fast forwarding, swiping, skipping, to avoid boredom, but that this switching behavior actually makes them feel more bored, less satisfied, and less engaged afterwards. In other words, we use digital media to escape boredom and end up training our brains to be bored more easily. There's also a systematic review of nearly 60 studies showing a reliable association between boredom and problematic digital media use, especially things like compulsive social media and gaming. Now add this. A recent survey of Gen Z adults, 18 to 28-year-olds, found that about 3/4 struggle to stay focused in face-to-face conversations and typically check their phone after just 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Many reported that in-person interactions feel boring compared to what's on their screens. Another recent study in the UK found that social media scrolling is now the most frequent leisure activity, but it also ranked as one of the least enjoyable things people do in their free time.
More effortful activities like reading, music, crafting, or volunteering were more enjoyable, but done less often. So here's the paradox. We're doing more of what feels easy and instantly rewarding, and less of what actually brings deeper satisfaction. Over time, that can make school, hobbies, conversations, even sitting still with your own thoughts feel uncomfortable or not enough. That's the motivation trap tightening. Now, I want to be careful and honest here. Not every hour of screen time is a disaster. Some large studies show that screen time alone is only modestly linked to things like mental health or academic problems, and that factors like family income, stress, and relationships can matter more. But when we zoom in on heavy, compulsive, or addictive use, the picture gets more serious. A large review of screen media in youth found that screen media can take up over half of teens' after-school time. Nearly all have screens in their bedrooms, and higher levels of screen media use are linked with sleep problems, depression, and anxiety, even though the exact causes are complex. A more recent longitudinal study of thousands of adolescents found that teens with addictive patterns of screen use, things like cravings, using screens to escape negative feelings, and distress when access was cut off, were 2 to 3 times more likely to show suicidal thoughts or behaviors over time than those with low addictive use. Importantly, that study emphasized it wasn't just the amount of screen time that predicted risk. It was the compulsive, can't put it down pattern of use. So when we talk about motivation, we're not just talking about my kid won't take the trash out. We're also talking about sleep, mood, physical activity, school and work, and how a young person copes with stress, sadness, and boredom. All of those are tied up in this. Let's make this concrete. Whether you're a teen, a parent, or a young adult, listen to these and see how many land. Sign 1. Real life feels flat unless a screen is involved. You're hanging out with friends or family and feel the urge to check your phone, even though nothing special is happening online. Sign 2. You need stimulation to start anything. Homework, chores, even getting ready for bed all require music, a podcast, a show, or checking your phone between steps. Sign 3. Short-term screen plans always expand. You intend to watch one video or play one match, and it regularly turns into 45 to 90 minutes. Sign 4. You feel restless or low without your device. When your phone dies or Wi-Fi goes out, you feel edgy, trapped, or weirdly empty. Sign 5. Important goals keep getting pushed to later. You talk about wanting better grades, better fitness, or creative projects, but little actually changes because screens eat the time and energy. If you're ticking a lot of those boxes, that's not a permanent identity. It's a pattern your brain has learned, and patterns can be unlearned. Here's the hopeful part. Your brain is plastic, changeable. The same way it learned to chase quick digital rewards, it can relearn how to value deeper, slower rewards. But we can't just say, try harder. Motivation isn't just about inner pep talks. It's about your environment, habits, and reward structure. Think of it in 3 layers. The environment, where your devices are, how easy they are to access. The habits, when and why you tend to reach for them. The meaning, what you believe you get from them, and how you see yourself. Let's get practical for each. Right now, your brain might be living at a high noise level. Constant pings, constant updates, constant novelty. To feel motivated again, you need to lower that noise. Some simple moves. Turn off non-essential notifications. Keep messages from real people if you want, but silence likes, follows, for you suggestions, and game alerts. Move your most addictive apps off the home screen. If you have to swipe and search for them, you're adding friction. Create 1 or 2 no phone pockets in your day. For example, the first 30 minutes after waking or the hour before bed. Articles on managing social media dopamine addiction suggest that even short digital detox windows, like a weekend without social apps, can help people regain a sense of control and reduce compulsive checking. You don't have to go off grid. You just need some time where your brain remembers what it's like not to be constantly interrupted. We can also steal some tricks from game design and use them for good. Games have clear goals, immediate feedback, visible progress, rewards. You can give those to yourself. Turn a 60-minute study session into 3 20-minute levels with 5-minute breaks between. Use a simple checklist and treat finishing each item as a win. Track streaks, days in a row you worked on a skill, exercised, or stayed under a certain screen limit. Give yourself small, healthy rewards when you hit milestones, like making your favorite tea, going for a walk, or listening to a song you love. One interesting line of research suggests that effort can actually increase the sense of meaning and satisfaction from an activity, even though it feels harder in the moment. So when you gamify real-life tasks, you're not just tricking yourself. You're helping your brain feel that effort is worth it. Your brain loves clarity. Try some simple if-then rules, like, if I sit down to study, then my phone goes in another room. If I'm hanging out with friends, then my phone stays in my pocket unless we all decide to use it. If I play games or scroll, then it's after I've done 30 minutes of something important. Psychology groups and pediatric organizations often recommend allowing screen time only after necessary tasks like homework and physical activity as a way to build healthier habits in teens. Write down your rules. Put them where you can see them. Pick one thing you've been avoiding: studying for a test, cleaning your room, practicing a skill, working on a project. Now create a daily 20-minute hard block. Set a timer for 20 minutes. Put your phone out of reach on silent. Work on that one thing. No multitasking, no checking. When the timer goes off, you can stop. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to teach your brain, I am someone who starts, even when I don't feel like it. As you do this over days and weeks, your sense of I can't starts to shrink. If you're a parent or caregiver, you cannot micromanage your teen's brain, but you can shape the environment and the expectations. Here are a few evidence-informed principles. 1. Structure first, screens second. Many pediatric and psychology groups recommend something like screen time comes after homework, chores, physical activity, and social or family time, especially on school days. That doesn't require huge battles. It just means you're clear from the start. In our home, school and health needs come first. Screens are what we do after the important stuff is done. 2. Protect sleep and bedrooms. Reviews of youth screen media use show that screen presence in bedrooms and late night screen use are strongly associated with shorter sleep, poorer sleep quality, and more daytime problems. You might set a family rule like all phones and tablets charge overnight in a common area, not in bedrooms. No recreational screens in the hour before bedtime. You can present it as, this is not punishment, this is us protecting your brain, your mood, and your energy. 3. Model what you want to see. If you constantly reach for your own phone at the dinner table, in the car, or mid-conversation, kids and teens notice. Try screen-free meals. Putting your phone away when your child is talking. Telling them,
I'm turning this off so I can focus on you. You're not aiming for perfection, you're aiming for integrity. We're in this together. Okay, let's turn this into a little experiment you can actually try. I call this the 7-day motivation reboot. You can do this as a teen, a whole family, or even as a classroom project. For the next 7 days, choose one daily hard block. 20 minutes on an important but boring goal. Phone out of the room. One task only. Create one daily no phone pocket. For example, the first 30 minutes after you wake up or the last 30 minutes before bed. No social media, no games. You can read, stretch, talk, or just be. Add one friction move for your biggest digital distraction. Turn off notifications, remove it from your home screen, or delete it for the week if you're brave. Track your energy and mood. At the end of each day, quickly rate motivation 1 to 5, mood 1 to 5, sleep quality 1 to 5. Compare day 1 and day 7. Ask, do I feel any more able to start tasks? Do I feel more or less bored in everyday life? Did I make progress on anything that matters to me? You don't have to fix everything in a week. You're just giving your brain a chance to remember, oh yeah, real life can be interesting too, and I'm capable of doing hard things. I want to end with this. If you're feeling stuck in the motivation trap right now, it doesn't mean you're lazy, broken, or doomed. It means your brain has been trained by a very powerful environment. Apps engineered to keep you hooked. Games designed around constant reward. A culture that fills every boring microsecond with scrolling. But training can be changed. Every time you put the phone in another room, sit with a bit of boredom, start that assignment for just 20 minutes, or choose a slower, more meaningful activity, you're not just changing your day, you're rewiring your brain's sense of what matters. You're building real motivation, the kind that can carry you through exams, jobs, relationships, and the inevitable hard seasons of life. You don't have to do it perfectly, you just have to start. In our next episode, we're shifting gears to relationships with the power of attraction and its role in lasting love. How attraction really works over the long haul and why it matters more than people think. So stick around for that. You've been listening to Hard Truths for a Soft World with Trevor L. Taylor. If this episode hit home for you, share it with a friend, a teen, a parent, or a teacher who's fighting the same battle with screens and motivation. The digital world isn't slowing down, but we can choose to build minds and lives that aren't ruled by it. I'm Trevor L. Taylor. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you in the next episode.